and welcome to another Coffee Time conversation. Today, we talk to a doctor in residency who discussed his experiences going into the medical field and how he spends his free time. Keep watching!
Again, wonderful meeting you. Just started us off with your name.
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Darshan Shah, better known as Dr. Darsh on social media.
Okay, and your coffee order for today?
I got peppermint mocha, which is like my go-to when I first got into Starbucks. I'm not really into Starbucks. We have a Starbucks in the hospital and we get like free money. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go treat myself. So, usually I get a hot drink and I'll get a peppermint mocha or a white peppermint. So
Yeah, I love that as a holiday drink. It's great. So yeah, let's hear about what you do.
Sure. So I'm a resident physician. So to the audience that isn't medical, I'm pretty much a doctor in training. So I officially have my doctoring license. I went through 4 years of medical school, 4 years of undergrad and whatnot. And I'm currently doing my first year of residency. So I'm called an intern, essentially. The residency I'm completing is called physical medicine and rehabilitation. So it's a 4-year process. I'm in that first year of that. So generally my first year is kind of, an intern year in internal medicine. So it's kind of just rotating through like all the different fields right now, like gastroenterology, cardiology, general medicine wards and whatnot. And then starting next year, I'll be doing more of the rehab kind of portion and physical medicine. And then my goals after that are eventually to do a fellowship in musculoskeletal regenerative medicine, as well as doing something called integrative and functional medicine.
That sounds really cool. So regarding medicine, like what are your views with like COVID and everything going on right now?
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. To be a country like the US where we have so much power and influence like globally, it's pretty sad to see that we're like leading, in all the worst stats. And we needed to do a lockdown earlier. We needed to make the lockdown, for longer. And people knew there was a second wave coming. The problem was there didn't have to be a second wave if we just did it right the first time. But hopefully with new leadership and stuff, and again, I'm not trying to make this a left versus right kind of thing, but hopefully now with new leadership, we can at least go through a lockdown, which I know people don't want. But the thing is, what people do want is to get out of this, and the only way out of it is to go into a lockdown, is to make sure that people are staying safe, people are wearing masks, like a national mask mandate, where the state government and the national government are on the same page. That's honestly what we need at this point. We just can't have too many people doing one thing and the other group doing another and another group doing another thing. If we can be all on the same page, we'll get through this. So.
Yeah. I think unity is something that's being talked about, especially right now. There's a lot of talk about like polarization and trying to come together and find the solution. So speaking more from like your experience as a doctor, have you had to like go into the hospital more now, or have you had any personal type of experiences working as a doctor?
I think the biggest way it's affecting us doctors is like there's obviously burnout, in medical school and especially as a resident. I just got off like an 80-hour week, and not being able to like see your now so-called friends and family who came in with you as co-residents because everyone's wearing a mask. So it's really tough to get to know these people that are working with you at a personal level when, you're going through like burnout, you're feeling sad at times, you're feeling less energized. And sometimes you just need that pick me up from someone else, like even if it's hanging outside of the hospital, grabbing a drink, going to dinner, doing some fun activities. That's where COVID has really, 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 I think, impacted a lot of residents at my level.
Yeah, that would be really difficult. I know even I'm just in high school and we're all struggling with that problem, but I couldn't imagine being like in residency right now and having to deal with all of that. So what are some things that you think have helped you personally combat that, like burnout and all of those issues?
So for me, I'm all about balance. Like that is what I do on Instagram. That's what I do everywhere. I try to approach optimization for lifestyle and mindset through balance. And so for me, I'm not only interested in just like being a doctor, right? So one of my medical school professors had a great quote, and he always said, "A doctor is not who you are; it's what you do." And I think too many times we identify ourselves with one specific type of field. And I think that's the worst thing you can do. Like, of course, a doctor is what I'm going to surround my career and my passions around, but it's not the sole thing. And when I tell people about burnout and how to overcome it is like, you have to look at the end game of what your life is, right? So when you're like 80 years old, 90 years old, and you start to change your perspective about the life you're going to live, what are the things that you really care about at that point, right? It's most likely going to be like living a happy lifestyle with like a lot of zen, a lot of peace, and just like letting that ish go, right? Like the things that stress you and just caring about being peaceful. So now when you look at that and say, okay, that's my end game. Like, and I always say, like, if there was a supreme someone saying, hey, Darsh, I can guarantee you that life, that happiness, everything, every single year of your life. The only thing is you cannot be a doctor. Would I agree to that? Absolutely, right? Because the reason I'm becoming a doctor is so that I can have that happiness, peaceful, financial freedom, whatever it is to go travel and do all these cool things. So I think we have to stop identifying ourselves with just one specific thing and realizing that life is this very broad, brushstroke, and there's so many different things we can do, right? We can pick up a book, we can learn, we can listen to music, and delve into that. There's so many different interests that we all have, and we can't be stuck in one way. It's okay to delve out and gain some interest and not put all our eggs in this one basket.
Yeah, for sure. I think having like different interests is super important to, having that balance that you were talking about. So what are like some of your specific interests that you have outside of just being a doctor?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, working out is huge. I grew up as an athlete, played tennis, played basketball, played baseball, any sport you name, like I'll play. So I really miss that like athletic, just going out and like playing. And obviously I don't have much time to do that, like an organized sport. So I go to the gym at least once a day or once every other day. Like I'm making sure I go there. That's one thing I definitely do. The second thing I do is read. I'm like addicted to self-growth and like personal development and just like becoming the best version of myself. And I think the best way to do that is to just constantly read and constantly grow your mind and start to make connections with the outside world. And I think that itself has really helped me with burnout. Because during COVID, when you can't go out, when you can't implement your actions, right? When you can't go out and do the things that you're growing on, you can at least sit back and keep reading, keep growing so that when this phase, when this wave is over, when COVID's kicked, out of here, I can go out and implement that. Third thing I do really to balance this burnout is to practice mindfulness. I will meditate approximately like 10 to 30 minutes a day, just work on breathing. Because again, I like one of the things that I learned from a book I read called Grit was having a hard thing rule. And what it is you have a goal that's very hard for you to accomplish. And for me, that's always been yoga and breath work. I've always been like, yeah, I really wanted to like learn that and do it, but I've never really done it. And I just kind of stayed away. And then after I read that book, I was like, you know what? For 1 year, I'm just going to practice this and I'm going to try to not necessarily master it, but like get involved with it so that it can be a daily practice of mine. So that's another thing that, I'm just constantly doing. That's essentially it, for at least the burnout perspective and other activities that like I really enjoy. Podcasting, I have a new podcast coming out in December. So that's going to be with my co-host. We're excited for that. So we're going to be launching that next month. And then I just do a lot of social media, do a lot of pre-med coaching, do a lot of medical student coaching. And I just try to create value in whatever way it is. So
That's really cool, and I think that's very important as well, like you said, like at this time, especially for like mindfulness and all that stuff.
mhm.
It's a great way to distract from like what's going on right now and to deal with it really. So
Yeah.
I know you mentioned that you're also like a pre-med med coach. Like how does that work? Like what do you do with that?
Yeah. So I go to a lot of talks. So I've probably done about like 30 talks now in like the past 3 months. Just different clubs, different high school organizations, different medical school organizations, and different organizations within undergrad. And essentially, I'll just talk to like 20 or 50 people. And my biggest objective is to give the reality of medicine. I think a lot of times high schoolers or undergraduates want to go into medicine. And I think they like the idea of it, but they don't understand the reality of it, the 80-hour weeks, the bureaucracy, the politicizing of it. There's so much crap, honestly, in medicine that there's a reason why 51% of physicians are burnt out. So that's kind of what I do as a pre-med coach. Now, on top of that, I do work with some students in mentoring. So I do have like a program where students can like reach out to me. I'll do personal statement edits. I'll help them with interviewing. I'll help them with their secondary applications, kind of like the whole shebang, and try to take them through to try to get them into medical school.
Pre-COVID, obviously. Do you travel a lot?
It's funny. Growing up, I hated like traveling. And I don't know if you guys can relate to this, like if you guys did family trips and stuff, but it was like never what I wanted to do, right? It was like whatever the parents wanted to see, and they wanted to see like scenic stuff and like random history stuff. And like I didn't have an appreciation for it at that time, so I was never really a big traveler. But then I did my first big trip actually before medical school with one of my best friends, and we backpacked Europe and the whole Mediterranean. And that was like super awesome. It was just us two. Like I loved world history. I had such a huge like appreciation for like fine art and like fine wine and like look, I don't know what I'm saying right now, but I was just like, oh yeah, I love this. And then I ran with the bulls, like legit the bulls, and like ran with, and it was awesome. Like definitely the highlight of like my like one of the highlights of my life. So yeah, I love traveling now. My wife loves to travel. We definitely had plans. We were thinking of going like San Diego possibly, at the end of December, but who knows now with, with COVID. But absolutely love to travel. Definitely have like places I want to go and stuff. Like our honeymoon is supposed to be like Southeast Asia. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward for all this COVID to end so we can start traveling around. Yeah.
That's awesome to hear. I know I definitely relate because like obviously like I can't relate in some aspects. Like I have never like run with bulls or done any of that. But I know like when I go traveling, like I love the adventurous aspect of it. Like just like I don't know, like zip lining or like, stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like I think I've gained more of an appreciation of like living with the locals, right? Like rather than being in like a nice hotel, like getting an Airbnb in like the streets of Catalonia and like working on my Spanish and like eating local food, and rather than going to like these Michelin star restaurants are cool, but not like every single day, right? Like finding these hidden gems and just like kind of exploring that whole realm of traveling is like really, really what I want to do more and more. Yeah. What's like next on your bucket list? If you guys could go anywhere like next.
I've never traveled to Europe. I really, really want to go. Like
Where in Europe?
through Europe. Okay,
Because I feel like Europe's very I segment Europe to like Mediterranean, UK, Ireland, like Scotland. Then you got like Germany and all down the east, and then then you got like the Switzerland and stuff up top.
yeah, I really want to go to like Paris, like France, that area, Italy, like stuff like that. Yeah, and then also like you said, like Southeast Asia.
Yeah,
That sounds really cool.
for sure.
Yeah, I think for me, I definitely, for a little bit of background, I'm in this program where I talk to people from different countries, and we all do kind of individual service projects, but we also like get together kind of as a community and talk about what service projects we're doing in each of our countries. And a lot of them are based in Africa and different countries in Africa. So like a lot of my friends from there, like from Burundi, and they talk about the places there, and a lot of them are super like untouched still. And I think that because of that and because of them, they've convinced me to really want to go to some of those countries in Africa.
Yeah, so Africa's definitely on my list too. So my wife's parents are from Africa, Kenya and Tanzania. So, we definitely want to go out there. I heard South Africa is like amazing. Yeah, but exactly like you said, there's so many untouched like parts that we don't even like know. And like even the US, right? Like I haven't even like gone and like seen the Midwest and like all these cool national parks. So there's definitely so much out there. Like they just need to, get down to. But that's the problem with like work and stuff, right? Is like in the US, we like literally fantasize about just working all the time and then taking a vacation rather than just like, you don't live for that long. We don't have many years left. And so you gotta travel and make it a priority for sure.
Yeah, what school did you go to?
I went to Temple University in Philly.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Do you think like going to school like in the city and stuff was like a good choice and like a big school? Because you seem to enjoy it.
So I went to a massive high school. My graduating class was 1,056. And so Temple is obviously huge too. It was like a 30,000 person like class. I'm more of a city guy, so I definitely enjoyed being in the city. Drexel was there, UPenn was there, USP. So they're different colleges, and I got to meet like a wide variety. Like my cast and my network very largely there. So it was definitely good. It was a great experience. Temple itself, I didn't think was a great school for like the sciences, but I mean, it is what it is. Again, I was in like a 7-8 year BSMD track there. Which again, I didn't think was the best idea, but it is what it is. I learned a lot from there, so I can't complain.
Yeah, so generally, do you think like the 7-8 year like MD program thing is that smart
So I do not. It's funny. Three people have asked me that through Instagram, and I've told them all the same thing. I don't think it's smart, and the reason why, again, I don't think anyone at the age of like 17, 18, 19, including me, has a real grasp on what medicine is. And when you go to a BSMD program, one, you're just like locked in mentally, right? It's like, oh, I got in, I have to do this. Even if you think like, this might not be for me, it's very hard to get out. But it's so easy to get out when you're not locked into a program. The other thing is like, I don't know about you, but my parents were like, oh, my son's like in an 8-year med program. He's going straight to Temple Medical School. You have that pressure to like not even get out or anything as well. The other thing is I was forced to be either a bio or biochem or a chem major. I couldn't be an econ major or anything like that. That's just doing a disservice. But I think it's more the flexibility, as well as the average age of starting med school is 24, 25. There's a reason for that. You need to like mentally mature, and like your 20s are so much growth. Like I look back at when I was 21 and I laugh at myself. I look back at 18, I laugh at myself. I look at 13, I laugh at myself, right? Like think you guys probably laugh at yourself at your mentality at like 13 and like, you know, like what was I thinking? Why did I even do that? It's the same thing, you know, you're going to get, you know, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, you're going to be like, what was I thinking? So nobody I've ever met who's taken a gap year has regretted it. But the opposite, you know, is also true. Like people who I've met so many people who wish they took a gap year and just like enjoyed life a little bit more, went and traveled in those like year or two, and then go to medical school with like a better work-life balance and perspective. So for those reasons, I do not think BSMD is worth it. Because the thing is, to be in a BSMD, you still have to get those stats, right? You have to get a good MCAT, you have to get a GPA. If you're getting those stats, you're still probably going to get in even without that, you know, 1 year you're cutting off or whatever. So for that reason, I don't think it's worth doing and putting yourself, you know, in that tunneled vision kind of avenue.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point, and it's definitely something to consider. Thank you so much for participating in this interview / conversation. We really appreciate it, and you definitely gave a lot of great information and advice from your perspective. So yeah, we really appreciate that.
Hey guys, if you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on all our social media. Also be sure to check out Dr. Darsh's social media and his podcast. Bye!